Welcome to the Vet S.O.S. Veteran Entrepreneur Spotlight. Remember, don't drown in the sea of transition. Grab the Vet S.O.S. Lifeline. The Veteran Entrepreneur Spotlight is sponsored by SpearPoint Solutions. SpearPoint Solutions is a one-stop shop for leading-edge products, services, and training from multiple vendors. From AI training to corporate gifts and much more, they have everything you need to help your organization thrive in the modern economy. Check out all their valuable offerings at spearpointonline.com. And remember to use the Vet S.O.S. code to continue to support our mission here and what we're trying to do with Vet S.O.S. Today, we're sitting down with Rudy. I'm going to completely butcher your last name, Haberzettl.
Haberzettl, that's perfect.
All right. Founder, CEO, Proactive Solutions, Inc. Rudy served 8 years in the USMC as a, I'm assuming that's a Chinook, right? The CH-53?
It's a CH-53 Super Stallion.
Super Stallion, okay.
Chinook is the Army, yep.
Yeah, well, I'm Army, so everything's a Chinook, right?
Yeah.
Air crew door gunner and airframe mechanic. After leaving the Marines, he used his GI Bill to put himself through school and received his master's in physical therapy from SUNY Medical University in Syracuse, New York, in 1999. Started his own healthcare consulting company in June of 2005, and they are celebrating 19 years this year. He currently lives in Colorado Springs, Colorado, with his family, his wife Melissa, and his boys Dylan and Connor, and 4 dogs. I only have 2 dogs. I can only imagine the chaos that happens with 4 dogs. That is crazy. How are you doing today, Rudy?
Good. I'm doing great. How are you doing?
Not too bad. Not too bad at all. Yeah, I have 2 German Shepherds, and they fight like cats and dogs, and it's like having 2 toddlers in the house again.
It's like having a house of 6 boys, but it's it's all good. No complaints.
It is, and with 4, is there any similarity, or do they each have their own unique personality?
They're all rescues, and they all have their own personality, and just like kids, even though you got a group of them, they're all going to be different.
Yep, absolutely. All right, so let's start with the military transition. How'd your transition go out of the military?
My transition went pretty well. I had a job before I even left the military. I had my A&P license. I was an airframe mechanic, and I was stationed out in Tustin, California. So I transitioned and stayed in California for a little while, went up to Burbank International, had a buddy who got out too, and we went up there and we fixed aircraft up at the airport.
Okay. All right. So what led you to want to become an entrepreneur?
I think just like you got to find your way in life, and you just didn't fit in as, how do you say, you're almost unemployable in the regular job force. You got to create your own job out there. You got to create your own career. And that's really what led me. And after doing my time in the Marine Corps, I really had no worries about doing anything after surviving that. I was like, I can take on any challenge. And I decided to go my own way. And I said, look, worst case scenario, if I fail on my own, worst case scenario is I'll do what everybody else does, and I'll just get a regular job. So didn't look like too bad an outcome if it didn't work out.
Get a regular job. I love that. You hit on two big things there. One, so the first one being just the military experience alone. You go through that, you survive that. Starting a business doesn't look as scary. Nope, not that it's not scary still, but it just doesn't look as scary after some of the experiences we go through. And another thing that ties into that, I know you didn't retire, but you got a lot of retirees that, they have their pension,
Yes.
from the military. So that takes another level off of it, as far as the fear piece goes. And all right. So
I came out like most others, just broke and had a GI Bill. That's about it. But I had a lot of motivation and a lot of drive. And like I said, worst case scenario, I'll just get a regular job.
Well, it's a great way to look at it, though, and really pursuing that, and the fact that now you're almost there at 20 years. I mean, that's just phenomenal. So, all right. So, what's been the best part about being an entrepreneur?
I think the best part about it, and for me, is you live and die by your own choices. And if you make a mistake, you got nobody to point the finger at. But the same sense, if you're successful, you can look back at all the hard work you put into it, and it's really your creation. It's your path. It's you own it, good or bad. And to me, that was really important because I see a lot of people every day go to work who are unhappy. They say, look, I'm not making it ahead because somebody else is controlling my fate. Somebody else is stopping me or something like that. And, in the Marine Corps, there really is no opportunity for excuses. You just, in the simple way, you need to adapt, improvise, and overcome. And that's been my motto through life and any branch of the military. That's just how you got to approach life, and you got to stop looking for excuses, and you got to make stuff happen. And the best way to make it happen is go out on your own.
Love it. Absolutely love it. All right. So I think you may have hinted to it, but what's been the worst part about being an entrepreneur?
When you're in it, probably the worst part is the fear of failure, but that's also the motivation that keeps you going every day. But now that I look back at it after 20 years, I can honestly say there isn't a worse part. I have no regrets in that sense. It's turned out, it's met all my expectations. I've got a great life. And the bottom line is most people, when they start a business, they create what's called a simple business plan. I'm going to create this business, provide this service or product, make this amount of money, and then hopefully one day I'll sell it. I didn't approach it that way. I more said, this is the life I want to lead and the kind of lifestyle I want to have and the freedom I want to have for myself and my family. And the business, was just the catalyst to help me achieve those goals. So I approached it a little bit different. So I don't think I'm disappointed in any manner of how it turned out, because I set it up to create a life for myself and my family rather than simply just make money. And I know you got to make money, but you got to enjoy what you do. You got to be motivated every day to get up, because not every day is going to be perfect. And you got to be able to self-drive yourself to do it. So by doing that, you need to create a plan that creates a life for you. That's what your vision is.
That's awesome. No, I completely agree with you. And I think it's awesome to hear, because you hear about the roller coaster, the ups and downs that come with
it. It's a roller coaster. I'll tell you that.
But the fact that you can say after, almost 20 years that you have no regrets, and overall it's, for the most part, it's been positive, which is just great. So along the way, whether it was when you got started or even, throughout the process of being an entrepreneur, did you use any programs? The military has a bunch of programs. I don't know how many of them existed 20 years ago.
There wasn't much 20 years ago. Let me be honest. Besides the GI Bill, that was, how do I say, a huge benefit. Back when I got the GI Bill, they basically took $100 out of your paycheck every month till you got to $1,000, and then they guaranteed me when I got out $13,000 to use for education with it. It's a lot better now, but that's what they gave me. And I utilized that to get my undergrad degree. And it was good stepping stone, but I probably, again, I got to go back to what the military gave me, as in respect, the meeting challenges, believing in yourself, creating a good team. I think it's invaluable. What I got out of the Marine Corps is, if I had to do it all over again, I would do it again. That's how valuable it was to me and what I've become. So as for programs, that was probably the greatest program, is joining the military, and what I got out of it.
That's a great testament. So are you doing anything like continuing education along the way to stay on the cutting edge for your business or anything like that?
For my profession, because I'm licensed in 4 states, there's mandatory continuing education. I also went back to school and went online and got my MBA a couple of years ago. And that was more to prove to myself, because people will say, hey, do you need an MBA to do a business and all that? And I can honestly say it's a benefit, but it's not a requirement with that. It's more of a requirement in the corporate world if you're applying for a job, because that gets you in above others. But as for running a business, I don't think necessarily it's a hard stop if you don't have an MBA. But I did it more to prove to myself that I could do it. And I think that's more than anything is you enjoy all the challenges. And if you enjoy challenges, good or bad, then I think you'll be a great entrepreneur. If you just want a smooth road that never has any bumps and there's never, that's not even realistic in life, then probably being an entrepreneur is not the right road for you. If you just want to clock out, punch in at one time and punch out at another and have no worries, you can't own your own business and you can't be an entrepreneur because you technically never clock out. Your head's always going.
Yes, absolutely. All right. So tell us a little bit about Proactive Solutions, Inc.
Yeah. So Proactive Solution Inc. is a healthcare consulting company, and it really came out of, several factors. But I worked as a physical therapist for United Technologies Carrier, the big air conditioning manufacturer. And I got to do a lot of different roles there. And prior to going into military, I had completed 2 years of mechanical engineering. But I didn't want to go to school anymore. That's really the reason for going into Marine Corps. It was just, I just needed to go out into the world and not sit in a classroom anymore. But when I worked at Carrier, I got to do a lot of different roles. And as a physical therapist, previously working with sports teams like the New York Jets and the New York Knicks, you saw how valuable it is to take care of your teammates or your team. And the same thing in the Marine Corps. We're a lot of small little teams, and you're only as good as your weakest link. And if you don't take care of your buddies and you don't have their back, you're going to run into trouble. So I saw that in the sports arena, working with professional teams. The drawback with professional teams is you're always on the road. You're always on the weekends. You're working all the time. It's kind of like the Marine Corps. It's not great for a family life. It's tough to have a family and be gone all the time. I enjoyed that about the Marine Corps traveling, but every time I got back, my buddies were either broke, divorced, it was a simple routine. It's just a tough life with it. So I decided to take my engineering background, my degree in physical therapy, and my experience at Carrier, and start a company that just worked with employers to take care of their employees, what I consider their most valuable asset. Because if that person is performing at their best and doing their best and they're focused on what they need to do, everything gets done. It gets done really well, and the employer benefits greatly from that. So I created a program where I built a team of medical professionals. We come on site. We have a clinic on site, and we take care of all their employees, all their healthcare needs in that sense. They don't have to go through insurance. They come right and see us. We're embedded in the company with the sole focus of you stay healthy, well, and productive. So I took that and implemented it. And one of my first clients was USAA, the big insurance company. I did a pilot program for them because, again, when you come out with a new idea or something different, you have to prove yourself with it. So I did a 6-month pilot program for them. It worked really well in Colorado Springs. They offered me a contract to take care of all their employees in Colorado Springs. After a year, it had done so well, they asked me to do it in Phoenix, Arizona, and Tampa, Florida. And before we knew it, we were taking care of 15,000 employees in 3 different states with a large team. Then other clients here in Colorado Springs. So we built a pretty robust company and team. But at the core of it was all the same principles I learned in the Marine Corps. How you lead by example, how you train your people, how you're there for your people, how you remove the roadblocks for your people so they can do the job best of their ability. And just that integrity of when you tell somebody something, you do it and you follow through. Built a great team and everything. Then you start having a family, and then you start juggling a business and having a newborn, and you got everything coming at you from 20 different directions. But again, the military prepared me for that. It's like throwing you, hey, we're going to deploy in 2 weeks. Get on this plane, grab your gear. We're going to drop you off in some other place, and you're going to figure it out. And the Marine Corps was great about that. They were never big fans of what I would say. They were just adapt, improvise, and overcome. We're going to throw you in the situation with the least amount of resources, and you're going to make it happen. And there's no one to turn to, and there's no one to point a finger at. You just work with your team.
Yep.
And we just built a great company from that sense, built a great team, and it just continued to grow from that. But
that's awesome.
Like I said, all my training and a lot of those resources come from being in the military, and from my experience with it. There's plenty of times when you're having a hard day and it doesn't seem like anything's going right, and you really want to just check out, and you wish you could just punch out at 4:00 and call it a day. You think back, well, geez, I was in the middle of the desert and it was 120 degrees and people were shooting at me and this stuff. And you're thinking, wow, I guess this really isn't too bad. I think I'll be okay tomorrow. I'll start again, So it's things like that make it happen.
Amazing what happens when you put things in perspective, isn't it?
Exactly. And that's your reality check. It's not so bad.
Well, that is awesome. Glad to hear you're having such success and such long-term success. So what's the best place for the audience to connect with you and to check out the business?
Yeah, if you can put up the link to the website and my email, I'm happy to answer anybody's questions. Even if we do two different kinds of businesses, there's a lot of overlap out there. And if you just need somebody to talk to and say, hey, I'm starting out, is this normal? Because I've done that for a lot of other businesses, coach guys early on, because they've got no one to say to, hey, is this normal? Is this how things work? And how do I juggle a family? And I'm getting this from this end, I'm getting this from the private, and I sit down with them and I was like, once you can put in realization that, hey, this is all normal, your life will go out of balance for a little while, you'll be tugged at 20 different directions, your priorities, all these things, they start to go, huh, I guess I'm doing all right. And I say, you are doing all right, with it. So I'm
awesome.
happy to answer any emails, get on the phone, talk to somebody. Like I said, I'm happy to help out, because that's really like in the military. When your buddy comes over to you and sits down with you and says, hey, Sergeant, what am I supposed to be doing? Am I doing this right? And just that reassurance of you are doing it right, and I'm going to help you do it better. That's all you need a lot of times to get ahead.
Yep. Spot on. Yeah. We'll include your email and your website in the notes and everything. And please check them out. We want to thank Rudy for joining us today on Vet S.O.S. And on behalf of the entire Vet S.O.S. family, we'd like to thank everyone for joining us today. Make sure to check us out on your favorite podcast platforms, YouTube, and all social media platforms. And please subscribe and follow Vet S.O.S. so you don't miss anything. And remember, don't drown the sea of transition. Grab the Vet S.O.S. Lifeline.